Miami's biggest advantage in this rivalry showdown with Florida State is going to be in both trenches, but the Seminoles are going to try to scheme those advantages away.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Friday. We made it, and welcome back to Locked On Canes. I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC, and host of Post Game on the Hurricanes Radio Network. And thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On this episode, we're going to talk with our special guest in just a second about keys to the game and his prediction. I'll quadruple down on mine because I think it'll be the fourth time I've given mine this week, just to make sure you all have it. We'll talk about Miami's advantages and what the Seminoles are going to try to do, because we are joined now by the man who you're going to see and hear right after the game on Saturday here on the Locked On Network. Win, lose, or I guess we can't draw, but win or lose, we're going to be hearing and seeing the postcast king, our guy Gries, Jim Grieshaber. Gries, you think we're going to have a happy postcast coming up? I'll start with that.
Oh, Alex Donno, it is FSU week, and you know what this means. As a Miami Hurricane who bleeds orange and green like I do, FSU week is incredible. It's the best week of every season, and it's even better when we beat them. And, of course, Miami has the all-time winning record. Miami travels well to Doak, Campbell, and I think back to so many games in the past there with the Ed Reed halftime speech, the Sean Taylor, Chris Ricks game with all those interceptions in the rain. I've been there many times, as you have, and one of the best nights of my life was when we beat them up there, and we bought 100 beers for 50 cents a piece at one of those bars on that little row in Tally, and all the crying FSU fans on the way in were like, drown your sorrows, and we bought them all beers. So everyone in the whole bar, 100 beers after we won that game. So that's what it's all about. And I guess I'll say this, and I'm wearing this jacket right here. You can see this. This is the first Nike jackets. They don't even have Nike anymore, but This is when Butch Davis, before even Butch Davis came in as coach. Dennis Erickson is still the coach at this point. I transferred to the University of Miami. I'm a junior when I come in. My first game at the Orange Bowl is the record setter, 58 in a row against Georgia Southern. And that game was incredible. We blew them out. Of course, it's Georgia Southern, and they were a national champ in 1AA or whatever, but we just, we killed them. And then, of course, the next home game, one of the worst days of my entire life. The Washington Huskies were beating them at halftime, and the only way to beat that team with Warren Sapp and Ray Lewis and a guy on the bench by the name of Dewey, otherwise known as The Rock. And so that team, Rohan Marley, flying all over the field. And shout out to Rohan. He just shared one of my stories on IG. So what up, bro?
Oh, cool.
And talk about running an empire, the Bob Marley empire. But think about this, okay? The Orange Bowl in the mid-'90s, okay? And the Miami Hurricanes had set the streak, and they lose it against Washington. The very next home game was against who? Florida State. Number one in the country, Florida State, coming in with Danny Cannell and Warwick Dunn and all those guys, right? Coming into the Orange Bowl. They were loaded. They were an unbelievable team, okay? What happens in that game, Alex? Miami decimates Florida State. The headline in the Herald the next day, back in control in the bowl. Frank Costa's hugging Dennis Erickson, and Costa got a lot of slack, as he should have when he was the quarterback. But the reason it was such an epic night, it was one of the best nights of my young life. I was 22 years old, had just come to Miami. It was my third home game. I had never seen or been in an environment anything like that. The Orange Bowl for a Florida State game, still number one. I've been to a ton of Game 7s. I've been to Super Bowls, Final Four. I've been to everything as a sports fan. Big fights. I've been blessed. Nothing like the Orange Bowl for a big football game. Never. There never has been. I look back at the 85 Bears game with Marino and the Dolphins, all that. So that night, the Orange Bowl was truly the 12th man. Well, it was a beautiful night. I'm in the student section. I'm wearing this very jacket that night. Very night at the Orange Bowl. Look, it's the elastics are gone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 30 years ago, but Alex, the feeling's still the same. And the best part of that night is I could have made my my own Mahoney Crew video with those girls that night. It was a fun night, man. And that student section was live back in the day. But my point is, there's no environment like it. And if you think the environment in Miami is great for it, it's so much better when you go up there in that environment, because FSU is truly a university that takes over the entire city, right? Even though it's the capital, Tallahassee. But when you think about what it means to go in there and that place is full, and to beat them on their field in front of all those people, all those great students and fans. And the biggest thing to me, and I'll wrap this up, the biggest thing to me, Alex, about it all is FSU fans are great. They're friendly. They're fun. You know, a lot of people who went to the same high school, one goes to FSU, one goes to Miami, players, students, whatever, families divided, households divided. Friends of mine who went to Miami, their kids went to Florida State. So it's not hatred like we have for that stinking, rotten, lousy Gator that we share. But there's something to this rivalry that just elevates it to the point where outside of maybe Michigan, Ohio State, and certainly recent history hasn't helped any with these two schools. And FSU losing to Virginia didn't help it either. But this rivalry, that environment and that atmosphere at Doak, it's almost unmatched. And to go in there and get a win for this team will be that springboard they need to go all the way, I think.
That all of that was really well said. And speaking about like recent years not kind of helping the lore of the rivalry, yeah, I was just reading this morning and like I was very surprised that this is the first time that both of these teams are ranked when they face each other since 2016.
Amazing, isn't it?
It is. I mean, we're 9 years.
And Florida, too, was bad at the same time. How could all three Florida schools be bad? How do they let so many kids get out of the state? You know, I mean, these programs like Oregon with the Nike money and the SEC, the balance of power shifted with Saban at Alabama so much that the money from the SEC is just so much you can't compete. But now in the NIL era, so the SEC with all that money for all those years, they weren't doing it fair anyway. But now the playing field is leveled, and the only thing left is an on-campus stadium or right near it. But I truly believe in the NIL era. This is my point. Miami and Florida State will never be down again in the NIL era like they were.
I think you're right. And so, all right, so I look at this, and again, like if you're just talking about 11 guys on Miami's side, 11 on Florida State side, everyone's trying to win their individual matchups. I think Miami man-to-man is going to win most of those individual matchups on both sides of the football, especially in the trenches. But I think what makes Florida State dangerous, especially on offense, is the schematic trickery, for lack of a better word, from a Gus Malzahn offense. A lot of misdirection, a lot of eye candy. You know, they have a quarterback who is really dangerous with his legs. So what do you look at, Gries, as keys for Miami's defense to be able to contain and hopefully shut down a guy like Tommy Castellanos?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you're going to shut him down. I think you can shut him down. I really think that, and this is the thing about Miami's defense, and I've seen some videos on social media circulating, you know, and you just see what it's like in that room, right? And when you look at what this defense brings to the table this year in terms of talent, it's undeniable. You have a guy like Rueben Bain Jr. on one side, and everybody's talking about him like a top 5 pick, maybe a number 1 pick, right? But then on the other side, Coach Cristobal's going, wait, Mesidor is just about right there with him. And it's a competition between the two, right? So I think and the reason I bring those two guys up first is because Miami's defensive unit is nasty. They're tough. They're strong. They want to attack and control the game. And it starts with the ends in this defense in the 4-2-5. With these two great defensive ends, the entirety of Miami's defense is based upon controlling the line of scrimmage, but establishing the edge and the perimeter. And they have so much speed flying in from the secondary and from those linebacker positions. But Bain and Mesidor control the edges of that line of scrimmage. And if you notice, nobody's running wide on Miami. It's always been hard to do with the speed. Right. But when you're running between the tackles. That's not Florida State's run game. They're not going to get the edge against this defense because Bain and Mesidor control the ends of the line of scrimmage. And they push the tackles backward in the run game, or they take away that edge. And so much, if you really watch the two, if you're watching me right now, make sure you pay attention during this game to those two guys controlling that edge. They don't break contain. They don't let anybody get that corner on them. And if your defensive ends can do that without the help of your linebackers and your DBs, that's the beginnings of controlling the edge and the perimeter of a run game. And to me, that's what Florida State's all about, running the football. I don't think they're going to gash Miami up the middle. And I don't think that Miami's going to have that hard of a time. They're going to force them into some 3rd and longs early and make them throw, and that's the weakness of their offense. That's the key. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. Well, I want to get Gries's keys for Miami's offense when we come back. Plus, prediction time.
You want to keep it locked right here. We're with the Postcast King on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Folks, this episode is brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, they move culture, and they keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward, folks, Mark Fletcher is the highest graded running back in the ACC to this point. Now, I mentioned my excitement for Jordan Lyle coming back, but Fletch is the guy who's going to be the bread and butter of Miami's running offense this week. And this matchup means a lot to him. You know, unfortunately, last year, he lost his father right before the Florida State game. He talked this week about how, you know, his faith in God and his teammates rallying around him have just helped him to be able to honor his father, helped him move forward, just like Mazda moves the game forward. And I'm just really, really excited to see what Mark Fletcher, who's a truly inspirational person, what he can accomplish on the field this Saturday in Tallahassee. This is a guy who constantly moves the game forward. And when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, friends, it is time for this weekend's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. The weekend is almost here, guys. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash streaks, saving more money every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For your Miami Hurricanes, Rueben Bain has consistently delivered in a big way. He had 7 tackles, 10 quarterback hurries, a sack, a tackle for loss against Florida a couple of weeks ago. When the pressure was on, well, it was Rueben providing the pressure, and he came through, no hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching week after week, you know that performance wasn't a fluke. Rueben Bain is on a streak. And just like Rueben Hurricane Bain delivered for the Canes, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash streaks, you save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season. You could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period goes through November 18th. Guys, Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. Guys, the swivel screen is a game changer. You can go from running on the Tread Plus to strength training without missing a beat. And the personalized class recommendations keep you engaged. You get workouts tailored to your vibe and energy level every week. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen. And immediately after the game, Jim Grieshaber, our man Gries, who you see here, is going to be hosting the postcast. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on the Locked On Canes audio channel, breaking down everything that happened Saturday night between the Miami Hurricanes and Florida State Seminoles. All right, so Gries, you gave some great keys on the defensive side. What about the offense? Carson Beck and company, Miami's running backs, Miami's physical offensive line. What do they have to do against FSU's D?
Well, when you look at what Virginia did, I mean, sometimes the best thing that can happen is, you have a bye week and your next opponent, right, happens to be your first road game, which I think is maybe the biggest challenge for Miami this week is they haven't been on the road yet. And we don't know how a lot of these young guys are going to respond on the road, but the units that would be affected are filled with veterans who have been there, done that, right? The offensive and defensive lines, and the youth on this team is in other areas for the most part. So I don't think that's going to be much of a problem. I think offensively for Miami, they unlocked the keys. And early in the year, they started as a throwing team. Against Notre Dame, Beck came out. He was great. You know what I mean? Against USF, the balance started creeping in more. And we said it after game 1. We want to see what Mark Fletcher becomes in this offense. And I don't think we need to see that anymore. I think he's in position to become an elite back at the University of Miami. He's big, he's strong, he's tough, he's fast. His presence in that backfield, he's a battering ram. He's a fullback in a tailback's body, right? You guys remember what a fullback was, right? I hope.
Yes. I mean, you and I do. Maybe the 20-year-olds don't. But yeah,
but he's that punishing style of runner, and we saw the Virginia game. They can't stop that, Alex.
No.
They can't stop that run game, that basic run game in many ways that Miami runs. We're just going to come right at you. And I truly believe that's the beginning, the middle, and the end for Miami in this game. I think they're going to run for so many yards and chew up so much of the clock that it's going to be FSU's defense is going to be dog tired. And then their offense is going to have a lot of trouble against our defense. Like I said, they're going to be in 3rd and long and things like that all day long. Turnovers, special teams. I look for this to be the week that Miami really flexes its muscle in that run game, even more so than last week or any of the weeks prior. I think it all comes down to that this week. I will admit, though, Carson Beck did put a little fear into me with that performance last week.
I mean, people, though, have reminded me on that note that he has not played a rain-free game all year, and we are not expecting rain in Tallahassee.
Thank
so
God.
I'm hoping. Yeah, right. I mean, not knock on wood, because it's the weather's been not great for us these first few games. And yet something you touched on, with Miami's running game. That's going to be, in my mind, what closes this game out. I think it's going to be close into the 4th quarter, but I think Miami is going to have a lead, and then they're going to be able to literally lean on their running game to bend and eventually break Florida State's defense late, and most importantly, take time off the clock. So I think that's the advantage that Miami has over every opponent on the schedule and pretty much anyone they could face in the country is their offensive line and their physical running backs be able to impose their will. And so I'm going with a pretty close one here, Gries. To be honest, I do have Miami covering the spread, though. The spread is just 4.5 points. I'm going Miami 31, Florida State 23, with Miami being able to kind of lean and grind the game out late. Do you have a predicted score for this one?
What's interesting to me? I do, Alex, and I'll get to it in a second. I just wanted to say that when I look at that game, that Florida State-Virginia game, that's interesting, right? Because Florida State could not shake them. They scored 21 points in the 2nd quarter. Florida State did, and they still couldn't shake Virginia. So their defense isn't that good either. And when I look at Castellanos, and he's good, man. He's a good quarterback, Castellanos. And, coming from BC to Florida State, they beat Florida State last year. Maybe he should have stayed there. But when you look at their running game, I don't know. I mean, look, I don't know that they're going to be able to get anything going running the ball against Miami. I really don't. And I don't know that he's going to beat them through the air. So my prediction with Miami playing a balanced offensive game, running the football, they're not going to score 40 this time, I don't think. I don't think they're going to hang 40 on FSU. I think this is the week where the defense and the running game become the stars of the show for the University of Miami. And Carson Beck will be fine in that role. He'll be precise. He'll run the game perfectly. He won't turn the ball over, which is important. Beck can't turn the ball over. But I see Miami literally in the second half running away from Florida State. So close at halftime, I'll say maybe 10-3 Miami at halftime, something like that. But I don't think Florida State scores 10 points. I'm going 31-6.
Oh, wow.
31-6.
We got the same
Miami.
score for Miami. You just have a lot fewer points given up.
31-6.
I love it, man. Well, you guys, you're going to be, I'm sure everyone's going to be excited to watch and listen to the postcast. Gries is going to be on right after the game ends on Locked On Canes YouTube on the audio version. I'll hopefully be able to make a cameo on that as well and hop in with Gries. I'll be hosting radio post game, but I love to jump into the postcast as well. So guys, make sure you like, subscribe, smash that thumbs up button, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your pods. Make sure you check out the postcast afterwards. Make sure you check out all of our episodes here. Look at that beautiful Sebastian the Ibis. I hope he's smiling this Saturday. We'll talk to you next time.
Alex, the Stormtroopers are invading Tallahassee.
Let's go. We'll talk to you next time on another episode of Locked On Canes. We are part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.